Good to see you guys. Glad to have you. Thanks for coming. Aaron won again this week for our school contest to come on the show. So we're going to give him another 15 minutes. If you guys want to come on the show and compete, and we'll probably do another PSA later, but please get in there, make some comments, get some likes, and we'll see you on here.
If you want to jumpstart this, join us over on School. We've got a community of like-minded real estate investors and entrepreneurs who are just waiting for you to network with them and to learn with them and to do deals with them. If you're not sure what a deal is and you're worried about how to get started and you're looking for a community that you can come alongside and jumpstart your real estate investing career, we've got the community for you over on School. Click the link in the description.
Thank you so much. First of all, thank anybody that's been in the School community that's reached out and has, offered some suggestions, and I've had a lot of dialogue off the platform, and it's been helpful. I'm getting pretty close to making an offer on this deal in Maine, so I'm still looking for a partner. I'd really like an equity partner, I think, at this point. But for today, I thought that I would bring a couple of questions that I think that I might run into as I'm progressing through this process. So the first one's about insurance. Is it wise to insure the property while you're fixing it up? And two, at what point do you pull the trigger on insuring it?
If you're choosing to insure your properties, then you would insure it as soon as you close. And if it needs a renovation, you'd get what's called a builder's risk insurance policy. And so why do I say if you're choosing to? So for 25 years, we have chosen to self-insure all of our small projects. So if it's a single family home that we're renovating, we generally go the route of not paying the money for insurance. It's only after we're going to keep it as a rental or the bigger projects that we've done much insurance on. And that's worked out well for us, but we're very high volume, right? So that's why that works out so well. A builder's risk insurance policy on your deal in Maine couldn't cost very much. Like I think you'd close on it and you get that policy for 6 months or a year, and maybe it costs you $1,000 or $2,000 for a project your size, right? Like they're going to do it based off of what you're purchasing the property for and how much money you're putting in it. So, maybe you're insuring it for $150,000 value or something. The other thing I'd mention about insurance is that even when we buy insurance, we want to insure the value of the structure, right? Because the land always has some value. You're never going to lose that. So if, say my property's worth $150,000 and 50,000 of it is land, I really only need a $100,000 insurance policy just to cover the building. The land's always going to be worth what the land is worth. So that saves you some money on that insurance. One other thing, I guess maybe I shouldn't have said one last thing, but insurance, when you do a builder's risk, however long you do that policy for, you don't get any of that money back. So if you insure for 6 months and you get it done in 3 months, you're going to get a new insurance policy once it's a dwelling, once someone's living there, or once it's being rented. So you want to kind of talk to your insurance agent about that. If you insure something typically for an entire year and you were to have a regular homeowner's insurance and you sold it inside of the year, you'd either not have to pay or you'd get back those months that you didn't use the insurance, but that's not the way a builder's risk policy works.
My builder's risk, they do 6 months up front. So if I have a year-long project, I insure for a year, they take the first 6 months immediately. But then if I sell in month 7, I do get a refund on that remainder time. But when I do a 3-month policy or a 6-month policy, which I prefer to do anyways, they just take it all. So on the year long though, I would talk to them about that.
Maybe to be clear, to get more clarification, oftentimes if you were to go into the fix and flip planning on using a general contractor, more than often they would bring that to the table anyway. Right?
No,
I don't think so. I think they'd have a separate policy. They're going to have their own insurance. They're going to have workman's comp that they should be bringing to the table. They probably even have some other kind of liability. And if they're big enough, they're going to have an insurance policy that covers if they do something to damage the house. For instance, the one I'm thinking of is my good friend is a tree service guy. And he's got a $1 million policy. If he drops the tree on top of your house when he's taking the tree out,
Right.
He's got $1 million policy, they'll rebuild your house, right? But I think they're two separate things. So just your contractor's going to have his own set of insurance.
Yep.
You want to have that builder's risk policy.
Okay.
And if you get a loan, they're going to make you get the builder's risk no matter what. It's only when you're doing equity investing that you have a choice in the matter.
Okay.
Yeah. And Aaron, just so we're clear, when I first started out, we insured everything, right? Like I was borrowing hard money at the time, and hard money lenders would make me get an insurance policy. And even going further into where I was having equity partners, if my equity partner says, hey, I want you to insure this, well, then we'll get an insurance policy.
Okay.
If my equity partner's been doing dozens of deals with me over the last couple of years, they know how we operate. And it's a risk for everybody, but it's pretty moderate risk, right? Like I can't remember exactly how many times we've called in an insurance policy over 25 years and thousands of deals, but it's probably not much more than a handful of times ever. I definitely don't think I get past 10 fingers. Like I don't think we've had an insurance claim 10 times in 25 years. I really don't. And I live in Florida with hurricanes and all of the problems that you can have.
Yeah.
Okay.
So not telling you what to do, just telling you what we've done. We ran the math and thought that it was cheaper for us to save $1,000 or $2,000 that it would cost for an insurance policy, across 100 houses in a year. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I do think the volume on that is important, though. If you're only doing one deal, I'd just insure it. But if you're doing 100, well, then if something happens to one house, all the money you save from not doing it on the 99 others, you can put towards the deal. Yeah,
that's what we looked at, right? If it's $100,000 or $200,000 a year that we aren't spending, and then something goes wrong, there'd have to be a really big something that we would eat through $100,000, right?
Yes.
Right. That's sort of my next question is kind of on the same lines. And it's about what's the best way to structure the LLC that we will form. Do I want to enter that LLC as myself, or do I want to enter that LLC as another LLC? Does that make sense? And then likewise for the equity partner, would they want to come in as Joe Smith or Joe Smith LLC?
Sure. Let me plug school real quick, because we're going to do our master class on school this week on deal structure. Yeah. So this will be like a precursor to that, I guess. But when I'm dealing with people who are just starting out, I tell them this: if you're joining an LLC with me and you have your own LLC already set up, go ahead and use it. But if you've never done it before and you're not sure if you're going to be a high volume person, you really don't have to go through the extra step of having an LLC to join the LLC. If you're going to make a business out of it, if you're going to do this 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year, yes, I mean, set up the LLC. You're going to have some extra protections from that. But really, if it's your first go at this and you're not sure whether you're going to like this and if you're going to continue to do this as a business, I don't think that you have to set up an LLC to be inside of an LLC. Now, there are some neat protections, and we'll probably get into that in more detail on the masterclass. But McKenna, what do you think?
If you're only going to do 1 or 2 deals, you just need the one LLC that owns the property. That already provides 99% of the protection that you're looking for. I feel like the only other benefit from having an LLC that owns your ownership in the LLC is you can start to separate your assets really definitively, where this LLC owns this and this and this, and this other LLC owns this, and they're completely separate entities, and there's no way to break that barrier. But that would be.
I want to do it because we're
talking to the mic.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt. You, McKenna. I was just asking real quick. Wouldn't you just want to do like a one-off LLC for flips and then just have a stable one for long-term rentals and stuff like that? Or
yeah, it's actually exactly what I was thinking that I would answer that is that, we have an LLC in Florida that owns rental properties, and we have another LLC in Florida that does flips. And sometimes the two meet, right? Like, so we'll have the flip LLC be the trustee for the rental property company, or sometimes vice versa. But we try to have this delineation. If we're going to keep it, it goes in CPR rentals. If we're going to flip it, it goes in FP Consultants. That's how we've set that up. And then in Florida, and we're going to probably get deeper into this stuff. We'll get into the weeds a bit on the masterclass. But in Florida, we have this beautiful, beautiful way to own real estate called a land trust. And it's an amazing way. So we have the land trust with 2 LLCs. One's the trustee, one's the beneficiary. And we feel like we get some massive protections from that. But anyways, I wanted to also mention that one of my best friends and kind of longtime regular partners, his name's Garrett, and I talk about him on the channel pretty regularly. He's probably done 250 deals with me in his own personal name. So whether that's a land trust or whether that's inside of an LLC in Puerto Rico or wherever we happen to be doing deals, you know, Garrett's a part of that, and he just does it in his own name. He comes in and owns the LLC with me or owns the land trust with me in his own personal name, and he's never had a problem.
Yeah. Okay. I really like the idea of having a management company that owns nothing, and it is your front-facing company. If people look you up, that's the company they find, and it has no assets, but it is the manager, the contractor. If you were going to get in trouble, it'd be with that company. And then you have a different LLC that owns everything, and that company isn't out there. It's harder to find. People don't know what it owns, what it doesn't own. And then if the management company gets sued for whatever reason, it doesn't own anything, it can just shut down and go away, and a new one can come in its place. Yeah. And we're gonna go more into that on Thursday as well, guys. So be on the lookout for the Lincoln School.
Yeah, that's an awesome question. So Aaron, thanks. That was an unintentional segue into that, and I think that's pretty cool how the universe works there. Because I don't think you knew that we were going to do that masterclass this Thursday.
That's good. Oh, I got 2 more minutes.
You got 2 minutes.
Yeah, man.
Gotta go quick. Here we go.
Keep going.
All right. Last week I alluded a bit to another deal in northern Maine, and maybe I can just allude to it a little bit more. I've done a little bit more digging. I'd like to acquire. It's a 1,800 square foot American 4-square house built in 1900. So it's a big boxy square house, 2 floors, and it's got a ring on the side of it that serves as an entryway and a kitchen or something. I don't know. The point is, it's very close to a medical center, the biggest medical center in the county, and that medical center is having a hard time with their nursing staff and getting traveling nurses because they don't have any place to stay. So I think a conversion of this big square building into some sort of, chop it up, dice it up. I don't know if you'd need sprinklers on the up and up to make something like that happen, but I think there's a play up there, where you could share some living space and probably charge, $1,000 a month per person in local northern Maine, which would be, top of the market up there. Anyway, that's something that I'm super interested in. I've looked at the property, I've driven, I've walked around, I've done all that stuff.
How many renters could you get in the house? 4 or 5? Yeah,
I think easily you could do a 4-unit. Do a 4-unit, but I think there's a way to do more. And because the lot is so big, there's room to put another building. So, I think this is another good one to chase. And I'll put together some numbers and submit it to the group in the next week probably.
So, all right. So we're trying to stick to the 15 minutes, but stick around. We're going to answer a bunch of questions for other people, and you can pop back in, or maybe questions for you, and then you'll get to answer that. And next week, we're probably going to let someone else win, but don't stop doing what you're doing, Aaron, because you're really helping us a lot to drive engagement, and we really appreciate that. So guys, just like on the Monday Night Live, you asking questions and you being engaged, that's how all of this kind of works. So whether you're in school or whether you're here on the YouTube Live, questions and being engaged, that's what it's all about for us. Doing deals together, obviously, that's where we want to go with it. So